So we come to chapter 12, and the competitiveness now of the Corinthians reaches new levels in spiritual matters. They were bringing in a Corinthian spirituality into the life and the context of the church. They were doing what Corinthians do. They were being ultra competitive. And when you're competitive in spiritual matters, you can end up standardizing the very thing that God has diversified. So if you notice chapter 12, how diverse and plural the gifts of the Spirit are, how they reach so many different unique expressions. We'll come to some of those reasons why in a very short moment. But Paul really begins by grounding the whole thing in a Trinitarian theology. Notice from verse 4, there are the varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. So there's the oneness of the Spirit there, but there are varieties of service, but the same Lord. And then there are varieties of activities, but it's the same God who empowers them all to everyone. So within the diversity of the Trinity, in the diversity of the unity of the Trinity, is the diversity of the gifts to build the one church. Now, Corinth was famous for the Isthmian Games, which were second only to the Olympic Games of Athens. And these brought in vast crowds. Paul was a tent maker. He would have been supplying tents to the athletes and to the visitors that flocked to the town. In the games, competitors mostly competed naked. So Paul had a vision of the body, so to speak, which gave him an idea for the diversity of the gifts of the Spirit. That's why he talks about eyes and hands and head and feet and so on, as forming a unified whole. What he's saying is, if you're going to be truly spiritual, you won't standardize or look down on or put down those who have different types of gifts, whether they are better than yours, so say the competitive Corinthians, or worse than yours. No, everyone has been uniquely gifted. This is, I think, really a lost art in a church that has standardized ministry. And so we need to recover, in a sense, the idea of Christ unifying the church through a plurality of gifts, uniquely gifting the whole body in so many different ways. And that is also another point too. If you're going to be super spiritual and claim these things for yourself, to be competitive, to get on at all costs, to get ahead, to do the things that you do in Corinth, to get on, you self-promote, you self-assert. You can't do that with a gift that God has given. So Paul is correcting their theology by bringing in a Trinitarian theology into the way that they are practicing their spirituality. It's really quite something. So Paul is saying you are the body of Christ and individual members of it. God has appointed the church. First apostles, prophets and teachers and so on, he says at the end. Now, it is no accident that this is the first chapter when it talks about gifts and body, where love comes next, and then we come again on to prophecy and tongues. Paul is unifying the whole discussion around chapter 13, love.